Well, I'm on here just for a short period of time today. I happened to be looking at a Fox channel a little while ago. Well, actually, this morning before I ate lunch. But it kind of caught me by surprise. But it seems like FEMA is just about out of money, and if this next hurricane hits down there in Florida, they don't have enough money to help out at this point. So, I thought, gee, we haven't, it hasn't been all that bad of a year for catastrophes around our country, and I wondered how could anything like that happen. So I went back on there and I started going back through the information on FEMA itself, and I seen in there where quite a bit of funding this year had been added in there. Matter of fact, I think in July, Congress fed them another $20 billion or something like that, which tells me that FEMA's been running over budget for whatever reason. So then I thought, well, maybe it's time I check and see where all that money went. And I don't know about you, but I haven't heard any senators or congressmen from either parties talk about FEMA for a while, nor anything about any oversight that's being done on something that is quite a pool of money normally. And, over the years, FEMA has been a source of criticism back and forth, especially in the southern United States when things have happened. And, we just got done with a hurricane just now that has been the worst one since Katrina made a direct hit on Louisiana down there. And I thought, boy, if we have a major disaster, does that mean it takes everything we got? Because if I remember right, after Katrina, we had put a lot more money in that fund just so that we wouldn't run out of money for these devastating occurrences here in the United States. Well, shame on me for not thinking a little bit ahead of time, because what has happened? Whew. Well, one of the biggest expenses that we've got going that I didn't even occur to me in that extent, and that was our border. And my understanding was that budgets such as this money that goes into the emergencies normally can't be touched, especially by any enterprise that could have anything illegal going on. Matter of fact, federal funding in general can't be awarded to illegal enterprises. So it surprised me to look back there, and on a regular basis, money is being taken from FEMA to support the illegal immigration of our United States, to include transportation, housing, food, and pocket money, extra money in the pocket for the immigrants that come into our United States. So then, like a hound on a trail, what is going on with ICE? Has this federal program really gone in the dumps? That they're out there taking the money that was meant for our citizens and giving it to people that aren't supposed to be in this country, and our federal funds being utilized for illegal activities. And as all of you know, if you cross our border without going through a checkpoint, okay, that is against the law, against our federal laws. And the present administration, in their wisdom, has decided to give each one of these people a piece of paper telling them they have to appear for court when asked. I thought, well, that's not that's not exactly following the normal guidelines that we've had in this nation for all these years. And it's not unlike anything that's going on in the entire world. And you want to look around, you go ahead, you'll find out that, in fact, the entire world requires more than what we are right now. Come to find out that these people don't even have to have an ID coming across the border. And contrary to what you and I do, these people can get on a flight and go anywhere in the United States. They don't have any ID, any background checks. And you cannot do the same. That surprised me. I was really surprised because the next question that was asked, because I looked it up, ICE has no idea of how many people come across our border without ID. And in fact, they have no idea where most of these people are. Is that something to worry about? Well, I guess that's up to the individual. I did see where already there's some of the illegal immigrants were caught up in, I think it was North Carolina, looting up there in the water-ravaged areas. Now, I'm not saying that all of them that are coming across the border are doing these kind of activities. But when I looked up the statistics, in the past year, 479,000 of these immigrants have been caught up in some sort of an illegal situation. 479,000. I got that off the internet, by the way. And if you Google it, you'll find it. What I'm most upset with is the fact that I haven't seen a senator or a congressman from any party let us in on these facts. And in fact, a lot of this is being discussed without going out over the media. The media either has not let us know. Why are we, the citizens of the United States who are funding all these projects, not allowed to see this information unless we go ask for it? Why can't we be told up front what the cost is to each one of us for these operations? And money used for an illegal thing, federal funding, I thought was against the law. I was thinking in the budgets, there's a little thing down there that says cannot be used for illegal operations. Gentlemen, crossing the border at any place other than a legal point means that the citizen has broke a federal law before they ever did anything else. And our country has decided to let them run around our country without any type of identification. No country in the world allows what's going on our southern and northern border right now. And you know the best part? There's more scrutiny right now in our northern border, which has a lot less traffic than the southern border. And yet we have stricter policies up there that are being controlled. So why is that? What is going on that we're allowing actions like this on our southern border? Over 140 countries are now passing into our country without paper and just issued a piece of paper telling them they have to appear before a court when asked. In the last year, 500,000 of them, close to it, have broke the law here in the United States. That's not counting the states themselves or municipalities that have picked these people up and turned them over to ICE. You see, we can't do anything about it, you and I, in that situation. It has to be a federal agent that handles an illegal immigrant. We can't do it on a local level. Things need to change. And you're going to find out real quick how bad it is if this next hurricane, if it hits the United States and causes anywhere near the devastation that this last one did, coming up through Florida into Georgia, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, and parts of Kentucky, Alabama, all these areas that are flooded, and FEMA may not have, according to Mariakis this morning, okay? He announced it finally. Fox came out with it, and then he got on there and started talking about it. They may not have the money to help anything right now. Their forecast to run out before November, and they don't even know for sure if they can handle what's out there right now. They have no idea. Which means that we could have a lot of people homeless this winter without shelter, food. A lot of them won't have jobs. We are in a dire situation out there, and our money was spent. I don't know about you, but I didn't know it. I had no idea. Matter of fact, I knew that we were supporting illegal immigration, but I didn't realize the repercussions of what was going on, because as far as I know, maybe you knew, I didn't. And I try to keep up on the news. I don't remember any senators or congressmen getting out there and saying what was going on with that money from FEMA. None. Maybe you do. If you do, please let me know. Put it in there so that I don't feel like the lone stranger out here. Wow. Well, I would say that for all of you in those dangerous areas right now, make sure that you've protected your home the best you can. Get it to safety. Don't take a chance, because we don't know what's going to happen here financially if that thing hits us, or if we're in any area where there is devastation going on. It can be nothing more than a huge fire coming along out in California, or boy, I don't know. You know, we're missing a lot of roads and bridges, and there's a lot of things that went on. You know, we had a bill that passed 3.5 years ago. It was Build Back America Better. And I haven't seen a whole lot from it. And I'm beginning to wonder, are we going to get those bridges and roads and all that stuff that was promised on those $1 trillion bills? I'm disappointed in the management of the programs out there. And when I look at that, and millions of our people are put in danger when our emergency funds have been used up for something else that could have been controlled at the border, as it has been for 200 years, over 200 years. And all of a sudden, in just a few years, funding can be gone that should have helped us through these dire times when we have bad storms or financial difficulties for our country. We, the people, every one of us that have paid so much as a penny in tax, have paid into the FEMA fund. It was meant for us, and it's now being spent for somebody else that is not a citizen, that has broke the law the day they crossed across the Rio Grande down there, or crossed into the Arizona-Mexican border, or California and Mexican border. I don't know what you think about it, but I'm upset, and it shouldn't have happened. We have an administration that's responsible for it, But our entire administrative system there, not just one party, two parties have let us down. Because if it got that bad, you know, the old saying, if you see something, say something. Why didn't one party bring that up, and why didn't the media let us know how poorly that funding was being utilized, and why would they let it dry up like that? You know, here not too long ago, I told you about our oil reserves are down. They need to come up 38% more. We have enough oil. If some disaster hits, we have enough oil in reserve for 18 days. That's it, 18 days. We have a war raging between Iran and Israel. They're involved in the Gaza Strip down there. They have two terrorist organizations that they're fighting on a daily basis. We have Russia and Ukraine up in the northern hemisphere fighting. We are supporting Ukraine in that war with Russia. When it was going that first year, we were buying oil off from Russia. We gave Russia money to make up for the difference of what we weren't drilling here in the United States at 12 to 14% of our supplies. It put a strain on the whole world market on oil at that time. If you remember, the price of oil went up immediately. Your gas doubled within a few months. These are things that are going on with the present administration up there. And it wasn't just one party doing a lot of this stuff. These big bills that were being passed, the Republicans were voting on those bills as well. That first one that went through, that real big one, there were 16 of them in the Senate that voted that bill through. So shame on the people that represent us for letting us get in this hole we're in right now. I hope some of you guys realize that things have to change if we want to get back on a good, even ground. We were able to keep things in a peaceful thing out there in the whole world simply because of our strength. But we don't have the strength we had before. If we can't support local programs to help our needy, how can we support ourselves in a time of war if that should happen? And we have more fighting going on now than we have since World War II, as far as around the world. And we're close, very close, to World War III could happen at any moment. And we're going to get caught with our pants down, people. So, I don't know. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. You need to get a hold of your senators and congressmen and say, hey, look, fellas, what's going on here? We've got all these problems out here, and nobody seems to come up with a way to fix it. You guys are throwing mud at each other during election year, and not one of you wants to come out and tell us how you're going to fix it. And you can't even fix FEMA. It is time for you to wake up, senators and congressmen. Wake up. We're out here. We're the ones paying for it. And we're the ones that are going to get hurt in the next hurricane if we can't help our fellow citizens out. So, I beg of you, wake up, people, wake up. And that's all I got to say today. Lord, I seen that on there and said, a basic fund that we've always used was used for something else. And I don't remember anybody saying anything on TV or the radio. No senators, no congressmen. Are they just asleep at the job up there? Goodness gracious. You know, it is almost time to stop funding the government and keep it on a local level so that we know how our money is being spent, because it certainly isn't being very conservative in the way it's being handled at this time. It's not being used for us. People, wake up. We're going in. You can't follow the clock on the time of the money that is going in. Just on the amount we're going in debt on every single second of the day. I almost lost my breath. Oh, my goodness. It did. It caught me by surprise this morning. And like everything else, when I start looking at it, it's like a snowball going downhill, and I start looking into these things. I say, how could that happen? Who's behind this? And I'm thinking, it's all the Democrats. No, it isn't all the Democrats. It's all the Republicans. No, it isn't. It's the Democrats and Republicans hand in hand. They're letting us go downhill. They're fighting with each other. They're supposed to be representing us. That we hired them to do a job. And it's not being done the right way. And they're throwing mud at each other. They make us believe one side or the other, when the truth is, it's in the middle somewhere. But the real truth is, how can you get a job done if you're fighting with each other? Can't do it. And now we know it can't be done. And this morning it really come up to me, and I said, wow. How crazy. How could something that blatant get past somebody that spends so darn much time watching the different news? I even look at news, across to the Australia and what goes on in different countries, because we're affected by all the countries of the world. We trade with all of them. We travel. They know more about our country than we do. Woo. Look, I want to tell you something. It is not one party or the other. It may be more of one than the other. But we need things straightened out, and they need to get it in their head that we want it straightened out now. They did it. They better fix it. Either that, or we need to start voting somebody else in, even if we have to write somebody else in. If the parties can't choose good representation and we can't trust the party, then we need to get a different party in there. We got to do something. It's our country. We need to take it back. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm disappointed, extremely disappointed. Emergency fund used for something else. Would you do that? Do you take your emergency funds and use it on something else? Nobody was for opening up that border that I'm aware of. But once it opened up, we've been lied to since day one about how many and where they're going and what they're doing. And all of a sudden they pop up in some town where they're having problems. I don't care if it's Springfield, Ohio. They're fighting over little truce, worried about whether somebody's eating cats or dogs. The real problem is, how much is it costing us for this oversight of people coming in? And you know what happened down the border when they started restricting it? They had a forgivable program, and they were flying people in by the thousands. The federal government were bringing people from other countries on airplanes. They didn't even have to go through the border. And I know you don't believe me on that, but look it up, Google it, you'll see it. You'll see how many that's happened to just recently. Well, that's all I got to say today. I know it's not a very good video, and I know I ranted and raved about it. And more than likely, the media will take this down because it is, even though it's the truth. I took all this information off this morning. Some of it I Googled. All of it was from regular radio stations, one of the information I got was from a radio station that took over from Limbaugh when Limbaugh was on there, and they used him at the very beginning of the station, some of his speeches. It's a conservative station. I took it off from that, but it was also being transcribed over YouTube, and that's how I picked it up. And it just whetted my appetite. I said, I got to see what really is there and why we're not hearing it. And the only way you can hear it is you have to look for it. Our leaders are not going to tell us. And the big media stations won't. They might give you a glimpse of it for about 5 minutes, and then it dies. But there you have it, folks. Get out there and look for it. I wish we had Rush Limbaugh back. He used to get on there and rant and rave and tell you everything that was going on, and he gave you a truce. He let everybody have it. Didn't matter what party they were. He was more conservative than he was liberal. But I'm going to tell you something. The man did a lot of research, and the people that work for him did research, and they got you information out. And we don't have anybody that's even close to Limbaugh. That's just a guy that was born in down in Missouri. Yes, sir. I guess I don't know who our next person is that's going to be famous and tell us the truth and let us know what's really going on in our own country, but they certainly don't run an office right now, that's for sure. And with that, that's it for today.